Derek Gilbert. 5 things you need to know this Monday. Item number 5 today is Israel. We're waiting for the other shoe to drop. That would be Iran's response to the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran last week. Ismail Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas. Israel's not claimed responsibility for it, but it's generally assumed that the Israeli government was behind his assassination. Iran's attack, according to Western intelligence sources who talked to Sky News Arabia, will happen on Tisha B'Av. That begins the evening of August 12th, next Monday, and concludes with sundown on August 13th. Now, why Tisha B'Av? That's a day that's significant on the Hebrew calendar because it's the date in history that Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Solomon's temple in 586 BC and the date of the destruction of the Second Temple by the Romans in 70 AD. It's a day annually marked by fasting, mourning, and self-denial. Enemy states have traditionally used holy days in the Hebrew calendar for attacks. For example, October 7th last year, Simchat Torah also fell on Shabbat. That came 50 years and a day, an odd sort of jubilee, from the beginning of the Yom Kippur War, which began on the Day of Atonement in 1973. The symbolic meaning for attacking, reviving historical trauma for the Hebrews, for the Jews. Iran hopes, allegedly, that attacking on this day would bring an element of surprise, although given that this is a habit of Muslims to use days of significance. For example, 9/11 here in the United States was held on the same date that King Jan Sobieski of Poland routed the Ottoman army outside the gates of Vienna. This is a pattern, so it doesn't seem to me that there'd be much surprise here. There are some, in fact, who think that this could happen, Iran's response could happen as early as tonight. What we do know is that friends in Israel need your prayers as they are preparing for an onslaught. Hezbollah, which would take part in this attack, according to Western intelligence sources, much better armed, better trained, and better entrenched in southern Lebanon than Hamas in Gaza. So our friends in Israel preparing, storing up water supplies, and getting ready for what could be a very, very kinetic period of weeks or months. Topic number 4, Black Monday. The markets are tanking this Monday morning. This was sparked by the Bank of Japan's decision last week to hike its interest rates by 0.15 basis points, which in turn crushed the 20 trillion yen carry trade. The 20 trillion yen, it's about $140 billion. Carry trade is where investors borrow currency at a low rate of interest, like the yen, where rates have been held artificially low, and then reinvest that money in higher yielding investments, assets elsewhere. When you raise the interest rate, the cost of borrowing that money suddenly increases, which means suddenly you may not be making the money you thought you were going to make, and you start selling off in order to cover your loans. Well, this led to a cascade of selling and forced liquidations, trillions of yen worth of highly leveraged investments now being wiped out in the United States. Futures were sharply lower, with tech stocks first over the cliff. The NASDAQ 100 had its biggest opening drop ever. I mean, even including the pandemic days of March 2020. This was caused by not just what happened in Japan, but rising concerns over a slowing U.S. economy, a poor jobs report on Friday, and overvalued investments in the tech sector like semiconductors and artificial intelligence. People getting a little more cautious about those investments rather than betting the farm on possibly making the money back at some point in the future. NASDAQ was down over 1,000 points in early trading. That's never happened before. It's still down over 1,200 points over the last 5 days. As of this recording, down 600 from Friday. The Dow Jones down about 2.5% as of this recording. Topic number 3, rioting in the UK. The last week has been rather violent in England. We told you last week about that 17-year-old boy who allegedly walked into a children's Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport and started stabbing little girls, leaving 3 girls under the age of 10 dead. 10 others are wounded. A couple of adults, several adults who tried to protect them, also injured. This was initially reported that the boy was a Muslim immigrant. Turned out later he was born in Cardiff, Wales. but he's the son of Rwandan immigrants. His name, Axel Muganwa Rudakubana. Another young man allegedly arrested later possessing a switchblade and wearing a balaclava at a vigil for the victims. This led to a violent protest. He was reportedly a Muslim. This allegedly resulted in what are being described as protests and riots, the destruction of a brick wall outside of a mosque, burning of a police van. This followed riots in Whitechapel and Leeds, mainly by migrant communities. Subsequent riots have taken place in London and Hartlepool. Social media has been pouring gasoline on the fire here. I should point out, it's very interesting that while the same media that is happy to amplify voices calling English colonists who settled here in America colonizers who stole land from the natives, which is arguably true, I mean demonstrably true. There's over 300 treaties that the United States government broke with the native tribes here. Okay, so we're colonizers, but the young man who allegedly stabbed those little girls is called a Welshman because he was born in Cardiff. Anyway, social media pouring gasoline on the fire by allowing people to stir one another up. That's led to the violence that's taken place over England. The Labour government of Sir Keir Starmer has cracked down on the crowd in Southport. The media decrying right-wing violence. This was the same Keir Starmer who praised the BLM riots here in the United States back in 2020. You know, the fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Bottom line here is that the violence, the looting, the burning is leading to calls in the media and by government deep state officials as a need for more regulation of social media. You see, they're stirring each other up on social media, so we need to crack down on the freedom of speech. What's really at play here, what's really behind all this is the deep state is afraid it will never get its great reset if we, the hoi polloi, are free to speak our minds and share those thoughts on social media. We need more censorship because the masses just won't follow orders. Topic number 2, a win for the patriarchy. 2 men are fighting for gold in women's boxing at the Olympics in Paris. Imani Khalif of Algeria, Lin Yuting of Taiwan, competing in the welterweight and featherweight divisions respectively of women's boxing. Both of these men, I use that word deliberately, were barred from last year's World Championships by the International Boxing Association because, according to IBA Chief Executive Chris Roberts, when they tested their blood, they found XY chromosomes. XY sex chromosomes means you are male and you've got more testosterone and thus greater muscle mass, bone density, and so on than women who are XX. You might have noticed in the match with Yu Ting that, or rather Lin, that would be the surname, the Taiwanese boxer, the Bulgarian opponent made the sign, described in the media as the sign of a cross. No, that's X, as in XX. She is an XX, Lin is an XY. But the International Olympics Committee says we have 2 boxers who are born as a woman, raised as a woman, have passports as women, and competed for many years as women. That is the clear definition of a woman. No, it's XY. That's the definition of a man. XX is the definition of a woman. The IOC has turned men beating up women into an Olympic sport. Shame. Coming up, liberals suddenly realize that DEI is a bad word. I'll explain next on 5 and 10.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can easily and conveniently stream this incredible new film, Void Earth Cataclysm Before Genesis, right now at skywatchtv.com/stream or on the mobile app for immediate access. However, if you'd like to receive your own hard copy on DVD, Skywatch TV is proud to announce the Void Earth Ultra Collection. When you order this exclusive collection from the Skywatch TV store, you'll receive the brand new documentary from Defender Investigative Films, Void Earth Cataclysm Before Genesis, along with Dr. Thomas Horn and Reverend Donna Howell's best-selling book, Before Genesis, The Unauthorized History of Tohu, Bohu, and the Chaos Dragon in the Land Before Time. These powerful works present astounding revelations like no other, taken directly from the Word of of God, the conclusion to the events of Genesis that merges all contributing voices from not only the young and old creationist groups, but the scientific community as well into one balanced and agreeable climax. They reveal precisely how ancient archaeological sites like Göbekli Tepe and the Doorway of the Serpent point irrefutably to an intelligent race of beings here on Earth thriving before the time of Adam and under Lucifer's fallen dominion. They pull back the veil on exactly what the Earth was like during the without form and void era of Genesis 1-2, and so much more, featuring Dr. Michael Lake, Derek Gilbert, Reverend Donna Howell, Gary Stearman, and the late Dr. Thomas Horn in what would become his last documentary appearance ever. But that's not all. You'll also receive 315, The Genesis of All Prophecy by the legendary Rabbi Eric Walker. This prophetic, convicting, and heart-rending book exposes anti-Semitism as Satan's plan to eliminate the Jews and the catastrophic consequences the world will face if this agenda succeeds. Sold separately, all of these items hold a retail value of $75. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Void Earth Ultra Collection now.
Item number 1 today, DEI has suddenly become a bad word. The 2024 presidential race is now set. Kamala Harris has been anointed as the candidate as the Democratic Party attempts to save democracy by putting up a candidate that nobody voted for in the primaries and nobody voted for in the 2020 primaries when she ran as president against Joe Biden. Anyway, now that she is officially the Democratic Party nominee, the media is going all out to rehabilitate her image. Yes, in the span of just a few weeks, she's gone from being the most unpopular vice president in history to the savior of the Democratic Party, if not democracy itself. One of the issues they're having to counter is the claim that Harris only became vice president because she was a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire, a DEI hire. In fact, Murray State professor Brian Clardy went on the record, social media, to say that Republicans are taking off the hoods and white sheets by referring to Harris as a DEI hire. This despite the fact that President Biden, during his campaign in 2020, openly said he made it a campaign promise that he would select as his vice presidential candidate a woman, and probably a woman of color. Also promised that he would make his first Supreme Court nominee a black woman. White men need not apply. So, I mean, diversity, equity, inclusion, there are millions of dollars being spent at universities across the country on DEI initiatives now, and suddenly pointing to somebody and saying, you are a DEI hire, is considered an insult, and a racist insult to boot. Here's the thing. The fact that the left now acknowledges that DEI, being a DEI hire, is not a compliment, just shows that even they know that DEI is foolish and counterproductive. This week on Skywatch TV, we continue our series on the new documentary from Defender Investigative Films, Void Earth. What happened before Eden? Was the Earth made formless and void? And how old is this planet really? This documentary features the late Tom Horn, Donna Howell, Dr. Michael Lake, Gary Stearman, and yours truly. I was honored to sit on the panel as the host for these programs, as Joe Artis Horn was busy volunteering with the staff at Whispering Ponies Ranch at other camps here in the Ozarks for children at risk. Don't miss these shows. These are really, really jaw-dropping. It's really eye-opening stuff. It's fascinating for nerds like me, but I think also relevant to us as Christians to understand the long supernatural war for control of this earth. Yes, the fallen realm has been fighting to win control of the earth since before the creation of Adam and Eve. You can see the program right now at skywatchtv.com. All of our video content is always there. You can also catch it right now over the air. Our broadcast schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. Roku and Apple TV, if you've got a set-top box, make sure you've got the Skywatch TV channel installed on that box. You can also watch it over the internet. Rumble.com/SkywatchTV or YouTube.com/@SkywatchTelevision. But better yet, get our free mobile app that guarantees we'll never get canceled because the content is hosted by the Christian company that's developed the app and our Roku channel and Apple TV channel, and it comes straight to your device, whether it's iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire, phone or tablet. Other features available on that app as well, and we have links to the app stores for the app that's right for your device at skywatchtv.com/app. You follow 5 in 10 on social media, Twitter, or rather X, formerly Twitter, at 5_in_10, and on YouTube at 5 in 10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.